In this video, I'd like to give you a 7-step plan if you're considering retiring in Colombia. You'll obviously have some personal alterations that you would want to make, but I think it's a good general outline of the procedure or a procedure that you could follow if you plan to come here in retirement, or in the case of digital nomads, come here to work for a couple of years on the digital nomad visa. Stay tuned to the end of the video and I will have a visa tip for you. My name is William Hutchison. I'm the owner of Armenia Colombia Realty for Expats in Armenia, Colombia. Armenia is a mid-sized city, 330,000 people, that forms part of the Coffee Triangle, one corner, along with Pareja and Manizales. Going to the plan, I think step one of the major steps, is through a little bit of research, you have to decide in what environment you would like to live. Here, there is basically 4 different. You have the sea, you have the large cities, you have the medium cities, and you have the pueblos and fincas. That's the choice. You'll find Colombia has everything, every style of accommodation that you could imagine. The country is absolutely beautiful. Forbes just rated it the number 3 most beautiful country in the world. We have 1,900 different varieties of birds, which is number 1 in the world. So step 1, you need to decide on the sea. And on the sea, you would find Santa Marta, Barranquilla, Cartagena, another little town besides Santa Marta, Taganga, and there's also Rodadero. Those places are very hot and humid. You have to understand Colombia is very, very close to the equator, so anything at sea level has those sort of weather conditions. Santa Marta is most days mid-90s, and at night it'll drop down to the mid-70s, so air conditioning is a must. If you don't have air conditioning, you won't sleep. The mitigating factor in Santa Marta at times is there's breezes that come off the Sierra Nevada mountains, and that helps. At least you feel as though it's not as humid or as hot as the temperature says it is. I lived there for a year and got into the habit of not laying out in the sun between 11 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. If you want the large cities, there's basically 3. There's Bogota, the metropolitan area. The last census number I saw was almost 12 million people, over 20% of Colombia's population. Medellin or Cali. Bogota at elevation is cold. It's 65 during the day. Most days drops into the 40s at night. And I read a couple of years ago that the all-time high in Bogota has been 82 degrees. Now, if you don't like the cold, that wouldn't be where you would want to live. The outstanding thing with Bogota is the cultural aspect and the restaurants. They're simply fantastic. All of the top name entertainers come for concerts, and any type of food that you would like, top quality, is available in Bogota. Medellin, the city of eternal spring, is about 4 million people in the metropolitan area. The temperatures there are mid to upper 70s during the day. It's eternal spring weather. There's everything in Bogota and Medellin and Cali that you could possibly imagine. Cali is a little different, hot and humid. And right now, for murders per 100,000, it's the most dangerous city in Colombia. Now, once you've decided in what area, I didn't get to the pueblos, that's pretty self-explanatory. Once you've decided on the area you want to live in, then the research starts. And the internet is your best friend. You can do all of the climate searches, the healthcare searches, convenience. I know here in Armenia, we don't lack for very much. I can be in Bogota in 35 minutes on a flight. And the healthcare system all over the country is rated worldwide pretty much about the mid-20s. It's ahead of some countries that you wouldn't expect. For example, it's ahead of my country, Canada, and it's rated better than the United States. So coming here, as long as you can get insurance, I think you can feel fairly confident in the health system. The other thing that you might want to consider is the convenience of maybe getting back to the United States if that's where you're coming from, or Europe. I know that there's direct flights out of Bogota to Europe. There's quite a few people here who visit Spain and Portugal. And Spirit flies direct to most of the major cities in Colombia, including Armenia. The flight here is out of Fort Lauderdale, and it's 3 hours and 20 minutes, airport to airport. Step number 3, we would recommend that you come for 30 to 60 days and make sure that Colombia is where you want to be. You could narrow your choices down to 3 or 4 different places and spend maybe a week or 10 days in each. And once you have seen all 4, maybe you'd want to go back and spend the rest of your time in the city that you determine is your favorite. When you arrive here, you get a 90-day tourist visa as soon as you arrive at the airport, and that can be renewed for a further 90 days. So you could come for that length of time, although we don't think it's that necessary. Step 4 is contacting people that can give you some advice on the visa requirements for the visa that you would need. Most of you would come on pension visas. As I said before, there's a digital nomad visa. But it would be best that you go back to the United States and you gather the documents there. The visa system was changed in October. It was passed in Congress in July, came into effect, I believe it was October 22nd or 23rd, and the requirements changed quite a bit. In some areas, they're lighter, they're easier, but in most of the areas, they become a little more stringent, a little tighter, and the country is asking for more information and documents that they didn't need before. Our suggestion as well would be to not sell right away. You could come to Colombia, think that you like it, have a bad experience or two, maybe not feel as confident about the country as you did when you were first here. So I would say don't sell. If you have a home, don't have a garage sale, don't do any of those sorts of things, because there is a slim chance that you would want to go back. Once you're back, step 5 on the tourist visa, I would say that you should rent for 6 months. That's our advice to all of the expats that come here. We are not in the rental market. I don't take rental listings. If people want help with a rental, I am more than happy to help them out. but we are not renters ourselves. That that would give you kind of verification of the way you felt when you first came here on the tourist visa. We recommend to people at least 6 months. A year is even better. But if you have spent 6 months on the tourist visa, more or less, 100, I think it's 182 days that you can stay. On the tourist visa, it would be 180. But if you've had that 6 months, maybe 5 or 6 weeks in the place that you like best, then those 2 times would add up to the year that we say that you should make sure that you are happy with Armenia. Once that period is gone, we're at step 7, you could go back and sell up. The caveat that we recognize is it's not easy. You're leaving family, you're leaving friends you might have had for 40 or 50 years, and you're leaving your comfort zone. But the payoff is spectacular. If you saw our first 2 videos, the first one we go into the real estate deficiencies here, the system, it's nothing like you're used to or have seen. Our second video talks about cost of living, and some of the prices are unbelievable, really. Your money goes a lot farther here. Once you've gone back and you've decided and you've sold and you've decided that you're coming to Armenia, then you come back, and at that point you can decide whether you want to buy or continue to rent. The pricing here is 25 to 30% of what you're used to in your hometown, but that's not going to change. It'll always be 25 to 30%. And if you're coming to Armenia, you're coming back to paradise. There's no question about it. It's 60 every day, 80 every night. I'm sorry, backwards. 80 every day, 60 every night within a degree or two. No humidity, a lot of rain, but generally from early evening through the night into the early morning. Sometimes during the day it rains, but only maybe for 20, 25, 30 minutes. So Armenia would be a good choice. If you're doing your research, check out the towns around, because there's some options there close to Armenia where you can get really good health care. The Salento, Circassia, Calarca, Kimbaya, Montenegro, Latabaida, those are all good choices as well, and close to Armenia. Latabaida is very close to the airport, 5-10 minutes from the airport, and it's just a quick, as I said, hop, skip, and a jump back to the United States. At the beginning of the video, I told you I'd leave you a video tip for visas. I have not used these people, so this is not a recommendation, but I know that they have many satisfied customers. They're both American lawyers, and they're both in Medellin. And the web pages are Visas by James, and the other one is Langon, Langon. They both are American lawyers. They'll help you through the visa process and make sure that you're looked after. There'd be no need for you to run to Bogota to do it. I did all of my own for 13 years now, and I would not do it again because of the way the regulations have changed. These people have credibility, and I doubt that there's an issue. I have a friend here that came in October, and while he was on tourist visa, he applied for his pensioner's visa, and he had it in a couple of weeks. So there's no need to wait if your decision is quick and you think that you would like to live in Armenia, retire here. That brings us to the end of our third video. I'm not going to be here the next few days. It's Semana Santa. But I'll be back next week. I don't know what the subject will be, but tune in. If you have suggestions or comments, I'll be happy to see them. If you have any questions, just drop me a line in the comment section, and as soon as I see them, I will answer. I can always call you. I have a phenomenal plan with Claro. It's all-inclusive to North America, Puerto Rico, Colombia. There's no long distance. But all-inclusive, I pay about $7.50 a month for that. So anyway, this is William Hutchison of Armenia, Colombia, Realty for Expats signing off. I live in paradise. You can too.